Welcome back, everyone. This is Griot of the Diaspora, and I am your host, Nakaira G. And I want to thank everybody that has been watching my video about Burkina Faso and the banning of the colonial armies, as well as the banning of the wigs. That video currently is at like 7,000 views, so it is my highest viewed video. So I definitely want to say thank you, and I'm really glad that people are even remotely interested in what is going on in Burkina Faso. So I wanted to make this video just to kind of big up Burkina Faso again, because some more amazing things have been happening. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to you guys, but also a really big shout out to Captain Ibrahim Traore. Those of you who may not know, Ghana just ushered in their next president-elect. His name is John Mahama. This is actually his second term. When I studied abroad back in 2013, he was the president and he served his first term. And so now he's serving his second and also last term. So, you know, presidents in Ghana do have a similar presidential term like the US, where you serve 4 years and the most that you can serve is 8. So the new president just got ushered in yesterday, and to a lot of people's surprise, Captain Ibrahim was in attendance. Obviously, I did not go, and I'm kind of sad about it, but shout out to everybody that took pictures of him, that was there, people who made videos. Oh my God, you guys. I was not expecting for people in Ghana to be excited, but when you see some of these videos, oh my God, it just brought so much, like, I don't know, happiness and pride to me, because this is someone that I have been, studying for a while now. And I always wanted to be careful talking about him and talking about his country, because it is something that we are seeing as the closest thing to revolutionary in a very long time. And so you guys can see by some of the pictures of when he was in Ghana and him sitting with some of the other presidents and him being in the company of his own army as well. And I just think it was such a powerful image. You see Ibrahim, and he's in his military attire, and he has his beret on, and you see him with his army, and you see him just like smiling and just seemingly having a good time. But the part that was so heartwarming was when he was announced to come up to shake the president of Ghana's hand. The crowd went crazy. They were shouting, they were screaming. You can hear the horns in the background. I was not expecting that. And all over social media, especially in Ghana, people were really going up for Ibrahim. It was so nice to see. I know that for some people, it's easy to talk badly about the past president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. I think I will leave that to the locals, how they feel about him and what they feel that he has done or hasn't done for their country in Ghana. But I will say that it was really eye-opening to see Ibrahim come to Ghana, and apparently this was his first time traveling outside of the Sahel states since his presidency. So if you have not watched I probably have made about 2 videos now featuring Ibrahim, Captain Ibrahim. So for those of you who are new and you may not know who he is or his story, he is one of the presidents that got his presidency in Burkina Faso through a military coup. Oftentimes when we have seen military coups or coups in Africa, sometimes they do not last, and very rarely do you see the country population stand behind it. I think, and I may be wrong, but I think this is one of the first times where a coup happened and the country is actually excited about it. I think I saw a tweet from someone in Burkina Faso who made a comment, and this statistic may be hard to actually say if it's factual or not, but someone made a comment and said 78% of the country is really behind Captain Ibrahim, and they are very supportive of him. And I know that a lot of Black diasporans, we have an innate desire for revolution. Captain Ibrahim has been kicking out the French colonial armies. He also, I believe, created like a new gold factory where they are now creating gold without having to gold mine. I believe it's kind of like a bio grade of gold where you don't have to do illegal or legal mining. Mining for gold can be very environmentally damaging depending on how it's done. And so he has been implementing things in his country that some of us have been waiting for forever. And to see that he is one of the youngest presidents in Africa, and seeing the moves that he is making and seeing his country stand behind him, we really need to show the support. Now, I don't know if Burkina Faso is necessarily in a position to, usher in a bunch of diasporans or foreigners. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I would say I would advise people to really stay updated on what he is doing, because we just don't know what could happen in the next year or 2 or 3. Now, in my last video about Burkina Faso, I talked about how the AES, which is the Alliance of Sahel States, they are breaking away from ECOWAS, which is supposed to be like the West African conglomerate, and it's supposed to be like an economic plan and economic strategy. But for some countries, they feel like ECOWAS is not necessarily keeping their word, or it's not really benefiting them, specifically because there are a lot of countries still in Africa that maintain their relationships with a variety of different colonizers. And to see Ibrahim not only just run his country, but to be favored in another African country, that is very rare, but it does say a lot. Now, I was very young and very new to Ghana when John Mahama, the new president of Ghana, was president. I guess I can say the economy was a little bit better, because at that time, it was $1 to 3 cedis. And I think by the time I finished my full year program, it was like $1 to 5 cedis, which still was kind of like a lot for the people at that time. But when you talk about today in 2025, right now, the dollar is at 14. And since like 2022, especially 2023 and 2024, the dollar was at like between $12 to $15, $1 to 12 to 15 cedis. And so that changes a lot for the economy, not just for the local person, but even us as foreigners. Now, if you are caked up and you don't care about money and you are just doing so well, the currency exchange rate probably does not affect you. But for everyone else, especially natives, especially younger people like me or younger that had this desire to come to Africa at such a young age and to try to make it work, it is really, really difficult, you know? And so I just really applaud Captain Ibrahim and the work that he's doing. Over the past couple months, I've seen Meek Mill mention him. I've also seen Rashad from Earn Your Leisure also mention him. So I think, you know, over time, people are going to get more and more interested in this man, and hopefully there's some way that he can give a conference that is directed maybe towards the other African countries, as well as, you know, the descendants of enslaved Africans from the past 400 years. Hopefully we will see at some point him address everyone and address the continent, but I really do think that he may be the one that we need to pay attention to and support. And when he asks for help or when he asks for resources, I really hope that there are going to be people that can help and that can, you know, whether it's donating, whether it's sharing resources, whether it's building or development. I do think that that opportunity might be coming really, really soon. So I just wanted to make this video because the real star of Ghana's inauguration day, unfortunately, was Captain Ibrahim Traore. And I know that some people felt kind of uncomfortable because he came with his own army, and he also, you know, was strapped, and he did have his weapon on his waist. But I do want to give a little bit of context to that. From my understanding, Captain Ibrahim, he has been trying to build relationships with different people, you know, different presidents in Africa, and it maybe not all of them have gone well. And we have to also keep in mind Captain Ibrahim has survived, I think, over 11 assassination attempts in his own country. And we also have to keep in mind that he recently kicked out the French colonial armies. So we know that his safety is the number one concern. And I don't feel like he was trying to make a statement by wearing his weapon. It's just his reality, you know, because unlike a lot of other African presidents, he is not protected by these colonial armies or these other colonial presidents. And I do think that, you know, I know some people were kind of offended by that, but I don't think people understand the type of pressure that he's under. Not only is he a president of a country, but he also survived multiple assassination attempts, and he's probably going to have to keep dealing with that throughout the rest of his life. While he is president, he is still in his 30s, his late 30s, and he is one of the youngest African presidents. So a lot of the youth in Africa, they were just really excited to see this young president, you know, because a lot of presidents in Africa are older. And a lot of people also forget that, like with Ghana, even though they have this term and they are able to do the 4 years and 4 years, but other African countries are not like that. There are some African countries where the president has been in his seat for over 10 years. And it's not necessarily something that the people necessarily even want. So there are a few presidents that kind of operate as a dictator, or they operate as, you know, the sitting president pretty much until they die. So I think we should just keep up with, you know, everything that he's doing. Like I said, he also developed like a tomato factory. And I also seen some information about Captain Ibrahim planning on, if he hasn't done it already, but I know that there was some talks about also stopping certain imports and exports. I think that he's also working on making sure that Burkina Faso can survive on its own resources, which is something that if you have ever read Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, and other books, then you should be really, really well read on the fact that most African countries, a lot of African countries, their resources are being sent out to the colonial areas, America, Europe, and the likes. So a lot of Africa's resources are exported out of the country, even a country like Ghana, where a lot of stuff are imported. Even things that they already have, like rice and chicken and certain fruit. There are GMOs coming into the country. If you have watched my video about Kenya and Kenya's president's relationship with Bill Gates, then you should know that people like Bill Gates and these other pseudo scientists, NGO guys are trying to maintain a relationship in Africa where they can keep either exporting the resources or giving African countries GMO seeds and things like that. So to see Captain Ibrahim take these necessary steps, and he's taking them very drastically and he's taking them very quickly. He's not taking years to do something. He's not taking decades to do something. And more importantly, it doesn't seem like he can be bought. And I think that is a very, very, very different thing that we see across the continent when it comes to the government spaces. So this video was just to shout out Captain Ibrahim Traore and to also, like I said, shout out to you guys who have been watching that video. I really, really appreciate it. It's still going up. It might even get to 10K views. And if it does, that would help me so much. So like I said, I have now decided that I am going to put out as much information as I possibly can about Burkina Faso because it seems to be a very positive country. Whenever I talk about it, the people of Burkina Faso are very, very supportive. They are very thankful that someone is even talking about it, and that is something very different, I will say, that I have been experiencing in my time, in this short time on YouTube. And I really appreciate all of you who are in America and in Europe and in different African countries who are also very appreciative of the information that is coming out. There is a Twitter account called Sahel Revolutionary. I'm going to add it onto either the description or it's going to be here in the video. And I want you guys to also follow that account because a lot of the information that's coming out about Burkina Faso is coming out from that particular Twitter account, as well as Ibrahim's media team and things like that. I also mentioned in my last video, oh, well, I don't think I actually mentioned it, so I'll mention it here. I believe that the AES also just launched a TV network. I don't know if the TV network is going to be available across Africa or international, but I do know for right now they have launched a TV network, so there should be more information coming out and more opportunities to hear him speak. I know he speaks French and probably like his native languages, but I'm pretty sure he's very fluent in English as well. So I am just really excited. Like I said, he was the real star of Ghana's inauguration day. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.